Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. In my last tutorial I showed you how I make candles, and this week I've been making some more, including a little fat one from a glue stick. Now I've made these because I figured that since I've shown you how to make candles, I should also show you how to make candle holders. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to make a variety of candle holders that will hopefully inspire you to make something that fits in your miniature scene. Now, I'm going to begin by showing you the sorts of things I'm going to be using today. Begin with my favourite scraps of cardstock. Now this is from a cereal box. That's the kind of weight you want, fairly sturdy, and if you glue it together you can make it much stronger. I use this quite a lot, and I'm just using scraps because I'm going to be using it with punches. Now I've got a variety of circle punches, both ticket punches like these and different sizes of craft punches like this. They just make life so much easier because circles are the worst thing in the world to try and cut. Now I've also got a selection of different beads. I've got wooden beads, plastic beads and metal beads. I've also got some skulls. They're skull beads as well, which probably doesn't come as too much of a surprise because you may have noticed that my miniatures have quite a dark undertone to them. And then I've also got some plastic bones, but more about those in a little while. In the candle making video, which I will link in the description box below, I just displayed the candles on a simple plate. Now, I made that plate by punching some of the cardstock out, gluing them together and then painting it. Now, that would make a fine candle plate for, you know, this kind of fat candle or a clump of candles like I made last time. But with the thinner candles, you probably want something a bit more delicate or interesting, which is where we're going to start today. But I'm going to start again with the cereal box card and a couple of punches. Now this punch is about 6mm and this one is about 3mm, and I can make what I think is a reasonable candle holder from that. Now, Blue Peter moment. Here's some I punched earlier. 2 of the larger ones and 2 of the smaller ones. And also I've cut out a small strip of the board. Now these I'm going to glue together so that I've got a double layer of each. Now this really is as simple as gluing the 2 pieces together. Now I do it printed side to printed side simply because it gives me a more even base then when I come to paint it. No other reason. And I've already done the smaller pieces because the amount of times that I've come to glue smaller pieces and they've shot off across the room, I've lost count of. Now the next thing is to take the small piece, which is handily stuck to the end of my cocktail stick, and to glue that into the centre of the larger piece. You just remove the excess glue, and as you can see I've got a little shaped piece now. That is the basis of a candlestick. Now I could paint that, stick a candle on it, and I could make it look like a little candlestick, but we're going to try and do something a little bit fancier now. What I've done with the straight piece that I'd cut is I've bent it round. Now I use my round nose pliers, and I have to confess this is not the piece you first saw. That piece did exactly what I said happened. It shot off and Evan only knows where it's gone. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this piece onto the base candlestick. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end. And very carefully stick that onto there, like so. Once the glue was dry, I gave this little candle holder a coat of black paint, which is my usual undercoat for pretty much everything that I paint. Now, I also made the same candle holder without the handle. I just made the little centerpiece higher by using 3 pieces of cardstock rather than 2. Next stage is to give them a metallic coat. So I'm going to go with some acrylic paint in both metallic silver and metallic gold, and I'm going to do one of each, just so that you can see that you can do pretty much any colour you want, but obviously you're going for a metal effect, so a metallic colour is a good idea. Now, tweezers are undoubtedly your friend while you are painting such small pieces. As you can see, I've started painting the silver one and the gold one is there. I also like to use a little piece of baking paper just to pop these on, so that if there is any paint on the edges or anything like that, it doesn't get stuck to anything I don't want it to. And I'm just giving this a very rough coat of the metallic. Now, this is because generally for the things I make, I go for a kind of slightly weathered look. By using the black base coat and then a rough coat of the metallic, it sort of adds to the aging, and any bits that are still black just look like somebody hasn't cleaned them properly. As you can see, I've now got a mostly silver little candle holder. Doesn't want to part from that. Once the paint has dried, all that remains is to stick your candle into place, and then you have a little candle holder that looks like one of those that people used to take to bed with them, or just a little candlestick that could fit on a table or mantelpiece or anything like that. Really easy. Next, I'm going to work with some plastic bones. Now, these are actually the forearms of a little chap like this, and I actually cut his twin apart for a couple of other projects, and these were one of the few bits I got left. So I was trying to figure out what I could do with them, and I thought that a candle holder might be a nice touch. So I'm going to use 3 of those bones. I've cut one in half and I don't need the 4th one, and I'm also going to use some more pieces of cardstock. Now, this time I have cut out 2 that are 5/8 of an inch, and again 2 of the 6mm and 2 of the 3mm. I'm going to begin by sticking the cardstock together again, and I've got my bit of glue, and it really is the same thing repeated. Oh dear. And then once they've had a little chance to dry, I will be stacking them up. But then we'll move on to the bones. Now, I want to put a bit of glue at the ends of the bones. And this is where I'm going to take the third piece and attach it so that I have a bundle of bones. Now, I'm going to leave these to dry now, and then we'll come back to this in a short while. Now that the bones have stuck together, we're going to put the other parts of this candle holder together. Now, the top goes together exactly the same as the other one. Just clean that extra bit of glue off, and I'll put that there for a minute. And then we're going to take the bones, and I'm going to stick the bones into the middle of the largest cardboard piece. And then the small piece gets a bit extra glue, and that's going to go onto the top of the bones, like so, forming a little, that'll teach me to move it before it's set, but it'll form a little bone candlestick. Once the glue was dry again, I've given this its base coat of black. Now I'm going to paint it so it looks bone-like again. My chosen colour is called linen. This is just a very light sort of off-white creamy colour, and I think it gives quite a good finish. Now I'm going to do the top as well as the actual bones, and probably the base as well, just to get a cohesive finish. And all I'm going to do is put a light coat on. As I've said before, I use a black base coat because it gives me an aged effect without so much fuss. And anything that can reduce the amount of fuss while I'm making my minis has got to be a good thing. And again with this one, once the paint is dry, the final step is to take a little glue and attach the candle. Now, ideally straight, but there we have one bone candle holder from something that would otherwise have been thrown away. Next, I'm going to use some plastic beads. This is a little metallic pony bead, and that one is just a little plastic faceted bead. Just 2 beads that I found out of my stash. I am also going to use some cardstock, and this one is going to be really simple. What I've got is I've got one of my little circles punched out. This time it's in the approximately 6mm size, and I'm just going to glue that onto what will be the bottom of the candle holder. I'm going to do it the logical way. And all that does is it just gives you a nice level bottom when you come to display the candlestick later. Now I'm going to give that a moment to dry, and then I'm going to stick that bead onto that one. Now that this is dried, I could paint it like I did the others, with a coat of black and a coat of metallic, but it's got a nice shine to it, so I decided that I'd leave this one as it was to show you that you can just basically throw them together if you're in a rush. I did put a little bit of silver paint on the bottom in case it falls over, but again, you don't need to, because that should always be down, so you're never going to see it. So all I'm going to do is I am going to attach one of my candles to the top of there. And here we have it, our little plastic bead candle holder. Really simple, and you know, that would fit on any shelf, table maybe, wherever you wanted to put it. Right. With this little skull bead, which is the kind that you can get all over the place, and I know a lot of people use them in their spooky, haunted, witchy doll's houses, I'm going to make him into a little candle holder. And all I've done is I have took 3 of the 6mm punches of cardstock and glued them together. And I am simply going to take some glue and pop it on the bottom and stick him onto them. Now this is necessary with these beads because they don't generally stand up by themselves, and that basically makes a candle holder. Now you could leave him as he is, but his colour scheme is a little bit meh. So I'm going to paint him. He'll get first a coat of black and then possibly a metallic coat, or I might go with the actual bone looking piece. I'm not sure yet. I decided to go with gold for this little skull. Black undercoat, gold top coat, mostly because I've done a lot of silver. Silver seems to be my go-to metallic, so I decided to change it up a bit. Now you could actually take this a step further. These beads are great for highlighting the eye sockets. You can use some coloured paint, some glitter glue, or even if you've got them, some little gemstones, just to sort of add that kind of pirate treasure look maybe. It all depends what you want. Now I've decided that I'm going to end this video here and then continue with the candle holders in a second part, mostly because this is getting a bit on the long side, and well, I'm having trouble with my back, so it's a little bit awkward for me to sit here crafting at the moment. I would also like to apologise if this video seems a little bit disjointed, but doing so many different projects, I have been skipping between them, so sometimes it's going to look a bit odd, but hopefully not too bad, and you could be able to understand what I've been doing. So I'd like to thank you, and I hope you'll stop by soon to see what's going on with the Gothic Unicorn.